Ben Blanchard has been around. He's a really, really awesome individual. I am only going to touch upon one or two things, but he has quite a lot going on. He is not wearing a bow tie, I notice. Yes. Yes, we need to fix that sometime. Ben spent the last year in the Pathfinders project traveling all over the world. Ended up in Guatemala. Before that, it was Uganda. Wait, where? See, I was dealing with like three people who were traveling all over. I forgot which one.
Is my lab mic on? Hello? So it was Cambodia, Uganda, Ghana, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Ecuador, Colombia, Guatemala.
Yes.
Wait, Dominican Republic's in there.
Like I said, he's been around. Before that, he was active with various secular groups in the Minnesota area. He is a volunteer network coordinator in Minnesota, and he is basically spreading his wings all over the world, doing really, really awesome stuff in the name of secular humanism. Give it up for Ben Blanchard.
Okay, so if you've never met me, that's kind of weird. I have been in the secular movement for 5 years. This is my 5th SSA-Con. If my involvement with the secular movement was a baby, it would be in kindergarten right now. And unfortunately, it would actually be here, so it would be truant. And I don't raise my children like that, so please go to school. So, do we have my slide? There's always school. School is important. So I am presenting on you the Humanist Service Corps. Ooh, a project by Foundation Beyond Belief. I'm required to say that every time I say Humanist Service Corps, Foundation Beyond Belief. So, very briefly, I spent the last calendar year abroad in 8 countries, which is Cambodia, Uganda, Ghana, Ecuador, the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Guatemala, and Ecuador. Doing service work. Now, besides the joy of service work, part of the project was to go through many organizations and try and figure out what would be a good fit for a more permanent project known as the Humanist Service Corps. Now, you may ask, what is the Humanist Service Corps? I will tell you what the Humanist Service Corps is. The Humanist Service Corps is a project devised by our director, Connor Robinson, under the concept of having a longer-term, essentially secular mission trip. His concept is an atheist on a mission. Now, this is a difficult concept because we are founding this from the very beginning because we want to be able to have an impact and we want to be able to work with local organizations. And so it is a bit trying and we're figuring out as we go, which is always fun. So yes, Humanist Service Corps. My slides broke and so I'm pulling a Greta. And we're having one slide. Thank you, Greta Christina. So the major concept behind the project is that the secular movement does not do enough charitable work. We don't. We don't do enough charitable giving. We don't do enough charitable service. We just don't. We need to be doing more. We need to not only be doing the amount religious people do, we need to be surpassing that. Because we need to prove that we are valid humans. And unfortunately, we actually have to prove that. We don't just get that respect. It is what it is. Foundation Beyond Belief does many wonderful projects. Mainly they are a charitable giving organization, but they also happen to run the Beyond Belief Network, which is service. And from that, we get to the Foundation Beyond Belief Humanist Service Corps. In concept, we will be choosing a location, and individual volunteers will be spending between 6 and 8 months working in that one location, building infrastructure, building projects, making that location a more habitable place. We have recently decided that we are going to be working in the witch camps of northern Ghana. We will be working with 2 organizations, ActionAid and Santaba. Both are organizations that work in the witch camp of Kukua. Now, for those of us who don't know about witch camps, they are a really, really, really scary and depressing thing. Leo Igwe touches on that quite a bit. He is the idea man behind our project, and we love him so much because he does the hardest work imaginable. I was only in the witch camps for about 2 weeks, and in that time I saw just how much work can be done. Now, the witch camps are areas of land that have been sectioned off and are believed to have a special healing energy, and in that land, you can't do evil. I don't believe that, but they do, and fortunately, that allows people who've been accused of witchcraft to live. Now, witchcraft accusations are relatively common, especially in the rural areas, and generally when you're accused of witchcraft, it's a death sentence. And that's really, really scary because people get accused of witchcraft for relatively ridiculous things. The baseline for an accusation of witchcraft is a dream in which that person appears. Now, we might say, boy, Ben, that sounds ridiculous. I agree with you, it is ridiculous. But this is a very serious problem. Thousands of women are dying. So, to touch a little bit more on the witch camps. The majority of women who are accused of witchcraft are over the age of 50. They are without a husband and without a male child that's there for them. Now, and that's because if you're accused of witchcraft, you have no societal power. Unfortunately, oftentimes witches will have economic power, give money, and then they'll be accused by the person who gave them or who they gave money to, and in exchange, the person doesn't have to pay back the money. So it's an interesting way to pay off loans by accusing your lender of witchcraft, which is an awful, awful thing that happens, and it's just completely absurd. Now, the witch camps themselves are areas of desert land. I went to Kukua, which is one of the nicest witch camps, and it was a 2-hour walk to the nearest water source. That's me, fit young American boy, 2-hour walk. When I saw women with a median age of like 60, 70 carrying water back and forth, and they were doing it well, they were doing it better than I could, but just seeing that that is their daily reality, that's an incredibly terrifying thought for me. There are several other issues in the witch camps. First and foremost, a lot of people don't know about them. A huge, huge, huge amount of people don't know about them. Most of the people in the world don't know about them, and the crime against humanity that they are. Second, water. It's a 2-hour walk to water, and even then it's not clean water. It would not be, nothing we could really do to it would be drinkable for us, besides high-grade filtration. And 3, these are women who generally had business savvy. They ran stores. And yet, right now, they are stuck in a camp, which is essentially a concentration camp. They will die there, and they no longer have any value to others or to themselves. Now, these are women who have business savvy, who ran businesses for 50 years, but that are no longer seen as valuable. They cannot be touched. No one can come near them for fear of being accused themselves. And so we would like to do things about that. As part of the Humanist Service Corps, we plan on creating a water infrastructure, making it so that they don't have to go 2 hours for drinking water. We want to make it so that they have we want to microfinance them and act as middleman so that they can sell goods. Now, unfortunately, due to the concept of witchcraft, the average person cannot go to a witch camp without an accusation coming towards them or their loved ones, which is difficult because that means even though they have skills, they're tailors, they're dressmakers, they're cooks, they make soap, none of their products can leave the camp for fear that the person purchasing them will be accused of witchcraft, which is a deadly accusation. And so we want to do microfinance and act as a middleman. But more than anything else, we want to work with them to figure out what they want. So we'll be working with 2 organizations, Santaba and ActionAid, with lots of help from Leo Igwe's research, of course, because he's the master of this area, and to figure out what exactly they need. Now, we can go back and forth about the pros and cons of volunteerism after this. Let's wait until after the Q&A. Just grab me. We can hash it out. But the important thing is that we shouldn't be coming in there and saying, this is what you need. We should be talking with them and figuring out what they need and how we can help them achieve it. Now, as Americans, we have lots of really good things. We have education, we have skills, and we have money. The reality is that anytime you travel abroad for service, more than anything else, you're bringing money. But they need money. They need help. We are in the capability, we are in the position to do it. We should be doing it. Now, you might ask, what can I do? Well, you'll be asking, what can I do? Not what I'm doing, because I'm making this happen. What you can do is you can join us. So we are looking for volunteers. The application window opens later this month, and I will show you where to go to grab that. Now, the Foundation Beyond Belief Humanist Service Corps project is an offshoot of Pathfinder's project, which is a fancy little website I made. If you are interested in joining the Humanist Service Corps, please go to About, fill out this fun little form. I know it's a lot of questions. I know. But go through, request, and submit. You'll be added to our email list, and you'll be informed of everything that's going on, application window openings, requirements, and whatnot. It's fun. Now, just 1 second, sorry. So, sorry, my slides have died. Humanist Service Corps is a wonderful opportunity for not only helping others, but for personal growth. So when I left on Pathfinder's project, I was a young 22-year-old who had never traveled outside of Canada and the US. In traveling abroad, I gained so much information about myself, about the world. My worldview has changed significantly. The way that you can tell that this is true is because I know how pretentious I sound when I talk about traveling abroad, and I still think it's important enough to talk about it. I understand. We'll get out the fun words. Synergize, worldview, life-changing. But that's it, is that these types of trips are life-changing. You gain so much more knowledge. In doing this trip, I learned about myself. I learned my limits. I learned that I had limits. For the first time in my life, I realized I had limits. And that's a sad thing and it's a happy thing. But it's incredible. You learn about the way that the majority of the world lives and the fun little quirks that go along with that. If you're lucky, you won't get malaria. I did. And you get to experience something that's so awful that affects pretty much everyone in the world except Europeans and Americans, which is an odd thought. You get to see and experience the way that people who are working so hard are working. And more than anything else, I learned that humanity thrives. When I was in Guatemala City, I was working in a project that was helping the people who live in the dump of Guatemala City. These are the second poorest community I ever saw, the first being the witch camps. But they thrived when they were literally picking recyclables out of trash. They still had loved ones, they still had families, they still were able to save and get cell phones, they were able to provide the basic needs, doing the most dehumanizing work imaginable. Because the human spirit thrives whenever it has a chance. With the Humanist Service Corps, we want to give people that chance. We want to help the poorest community we saw. We want to help the most underprivileged, discriminated against, and almost dead community that we saw. Now, there are 6 witch camps. We would be working in Kukua, but as a whole, there are over 1,000 women in these witch camps. 1,000 women who are torn out of their communities, 1,000 women who, if they leave for even a moment, will probably be killed for the accusation of witchcraft, which I'm guessing all of us don't believe in. Now, this is a huge cultural issue, and there's work that can be done towards that, but we are not the ones to do that. We, as the rich white Americans, should not be coming in and saying witchcraft doesn't exist, because we can't convince them of that. Even if we could, I don't know if we should. But what we can do is we can go in there, talk with them, figure out what they need, and provide it to them for an incredibly small amount of money. Now, one of the big reasons we chose the Kukua witch camps is because an incredibly small amount of money will do amazing things. One of the most common requests in the witch camps when they were asking for things from us was for a zinc roof for their huts. Now, all of these witches live in huts, mud huts that are made in 2 days, and they have thatch roofs. Now, even at their best, these thatch roofs leak, and at their worst, they are essentially not there. Each thatch roof is supposed to last 2 years. They generally don't get replaced, and you have witches who have been there for 10, 20, 30. You have daughters of witches who were accused of witchcraft for being in the witch camps who may be living in the same hut. So you have thatch roofs that are no longer working at all. They want zinc roofs, which is a cost that is incomprehensible to them. It is something that they could never, ever afford. It is something that the camp elders cannot purchase for them, and it is $28. For $28, you can make a really, really basic thing happen for these incredibly incredibly disprivileged women. For $28, you can provide a roof over their head that they don't have. Now, obviously, some of the projects that we're planning will be a little bit more expensive. Water purification is more expensive than roofs, but it's a basic human right. Water should be a basic human right. Now, I believe that's time for Q&A. Yes. Questions? Yes.
So, how about the other people that were part of the Humanist Service Corps this year? I understand you guys all came from different backgrounds.
Yes, I can actually pull it up for you on the fancy dancy website that I made. So, there were 4 pathfinders, and once again we were finding the path for the Humanist Service Corps. See how that works? Yeah. I like puns, get over it. So we have Connor Robinson. He is a teacher, a special education teacher in California, who is now the director of the Foundation Beyond Belief Humanist Service Corps. He is the man in charge. He is the man with the plan. He has been working on this for about 4 years, making it happen. Wonderful guy. You have me. I'm a scientist. I'm from St. Cloud State, Minnesota, or St. Cloud, Minnesota. Went to St. Cloud State, kind of went to Yale. My background is much more humble than his. I worked 70 hours a week in labs to get through college. We have Wendy Weber, who's from New Mexico originally, went to Colorado College, then went to Yale to get her master's in divinity. She was our religion expert and photographer. All the photographs, if you ever go to our fun website, will be from her. And we have Michelle Huey, who's from Davis, California, who went to the University of Davis. Wonderful woman. She was our design expert and did all of the tweeting Facebook. That is called social media. She was our social media expert and the driving force behind our social media campaign. Now, the 4 of us came from incredibly different backgrounds, and we were able to get to know each other. The point of the project was not to meet friends, was not to make new acquaintances, but as happens, we spent a year together. And I would always think about what these 4 or 3 other people are thinking, because we spent a year together. That is one of the benefits of being in the Humanist Service Corps. The goal is not to make friends, it's not to make partners, people who will know what you've been through, but that will happen. Other questions? We have about 5 minutes. Yes?
Hello. The Centers for Disease Control, which is based in Atlanta, has a huge network throughout the world with an emphasis on global health.
Yes.
You mentioned that there is, there isn't clean water, which of course creates health hazards and health problems.
Yes.
Have y'all noticed, or has Connor been trying to work with any of the organizations, or have y'all made contact with any organizations that have been working on this? Because I think they may have people in Nigeria, public health specialists in Nigeria. Have y'all made any contact with them?
We have. So it's actually in Ghana. So there are difficulties.
Oh, okay.
So Ghana actually has a public health care scheme.
Yeah.
Where Santava, which is one of the local organizations, they make sure all of the alleged witches are enrolled in that. Unfortunately, the nearest clinic is about a 5-hour drive. And there are not plans, and there will not ever be any sort of health facility at all close to the land because of accusations of witchcraft. Now, I mentioned this before, but if a Ghanaian enters the camps, they will be accused. There is no doubt. Which is an ugly, ugly, ugly situation. It's possible that the woman in charge of Santaba, she's able to enter because she has so much societal power. But for the most part, if you're Ghanaian, if you're not a Westerner, you cannot enter a witch camp without an accusation coming to you or a loved one in your life, which is an ugly situation. I know that they have, in concept, they have a pharmacy. They have a government-run pharmacy, which has only herbal remedies. And they don't even have those. I saw it, they had 3 products. Other pharmacies, I was treated for malaria in Ghana. They have medicine. Ghanaians have medicine. The government does not see it necessary to provide medicine to the witches. One of the major issues in Ghana is that alleged witches, everyone believes in witchcraft. Over 90% of the Ghanaians believe in witchcraft. And that means that they are generally not respected. One of the major pushes that Santaba is doing is to get the leaders in each of the witch camps to come together and to lobby the government for basic access to water and food. They have very mixed results because they are seen as pariahs and everyone else just kind of wishes that they're dead, which is awful because they're human beings. But yes, I know that we would be working significantly more, but results will vary. Any other questions? Yes?
So they are not allowed to see their families?
Kind of. So one of the common things that will happen is a daughter or granddaughter will eventually be sent in to the witch camps to take care of the grandmother or mother. Unfortunately, that granddaughter or daughter will then not be able to leave for fear of witch accusations, and will eventually just move into the village. Oftentimes they will marry one of the elders, so one of the few males in the village. Oh, that's the other fun thing. Men can't be witches. Only women can be witches. If men are accused of witchcraft, they are simply purified and sent home. It is only the women that have to live in the witch camps. Aggravating. So, kind of. There have been very, very select cases to where Santaba has organized for a witch, or for an alleged witch to leave the community. Results may vary. It generally doesn't work out well, and they're eventually sent back, getting the stop sign. So yes, if you want to ask more questions, I'm right here. I'm the one with the sweater vest. You can also tweet at me, and I will be glad to answer your questions. You can tweet at me at Ben Sweater Vest. You can find me on Facebook.